Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tujayat Mudite Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtati Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. So today's verse is Canto 1, Chapter 18. This is Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. Text 20. You can see my screen, right, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, we can see.
Thank you. Etavatalam nanusuchitena gunera samyanatishayanasya idvetaran prarthayato vibhute yasyam rirenam jashatena vipsoho. Once again. Etavatalam nanusuchitena gunera samyanatishayanasya hitvetaran prarthayato vibhute yasyam rirenam jasatena vipsoho. Word for word. Etavata, so far. Alam, unnecessary. Nanu, if at all. Suchitena, by description. Gune, by attributes. Asamya, immeasurable. Anatishayanasya, of one who is unexcelled. Hitva, leaving aside. Itaran, others. Prarthayata, of those who ask for. Vibhuti, favor of the goddess of fortune. Yasya, one whose. Angri, feet. Renum, dust. Jusate, serves. Anabhipsaho, one who is unwilling. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. It is now ascertained that He, the personality of Godhead, is unlimited, and there is none equal to Him. Consequently, no one can speak of Him adequately. Great demigods cannot obtain the favor of the goddesses of fortune, even by prayers. But this very goddess renders service unto the Lord, although he is unwilling to have such service. Purport. The personality of Godhead, or the Parameshwara Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. He has unlimited potencies, and his every action is carried out systematically in his natural and perfect ways. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself, and he has nothing to accept from anyone else, including the great demigods like Brahma. Others ask for the favor of the goddess of fortune, and despite such prayers, she declines to award such favors. But still, she renders service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he has nothing to accept from her. The personality of Godhead in his Garbhodakashayi Vishnu feature begets Brahma, the first created person in the material world, from his navel lotus stem, and not in the womb of the goddess of fortune, who is eternally engaged in his service. These are some of the instances of his complete independence and perfection. That he has nothing to do does not mean that he is impersonal. He is transcendently so full of inconceivable potencies that simply by his willing, everything is done without physical or personal endeavor. He is called, therefore, Yogeshwara, or the Lord of all mystic powers. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan He Krishna Asin Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopikaka Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Mami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripashantivacha Patitanang Papan Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Padaswami Namini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshakari Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Rama. Welcome dear devotees to this morning's Bhagavatam discussion. So I've been asked to speak, but I must confess I'm completely qualified. I have bad memory. I'm not very good at internalizing philosophy, but I've been instructed, and so as a service and for my purification, I'm going to try to glorify the Bhagavatam, the Lord, a little bit within my capacity. So I ardently seek the blessing of all of you all, Guru Maharaj. So before I start, the background that you see is actually of the 125th Vyas Puja ceremony of Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, which I was fortunate enough to attend personally this year. But you probably can't see too well because of my face, so I'm going to turn up the video a little bit. It was actually a wonderful ceremony. So coming back to the translation, it is now ascertained that he, the personality of Godhead, is unlimited and there is none equal to him. Consequently, no one can speak of him adequately. So how many times have we heard this from the scriptures and from our acharyas, that the Lord is unlimited? He's the greatest of all, right? Many, many times we've heard that. And really there can be no doubt in our minds about his greatness. So I just want to maybe wake you all up or make, think about it a little bit. So can you think of some instances where, some verses where, we were told that the Lord is unlimited or he's great? Take just 30 seconds. If you want, you can share the spirit of making it interactive. Let's just take 30 seconds. Anybody want to share? Okay, so I'll go on with some instances that were striking for me, and one of them is this one, Lord Brahma speaking to Narad Muni, and this is Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.41, and Lord Brahma says, "Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 1,000 faces." So imagine that. Mahaprabhu cites that same verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 21.13, and he follows it up with, "Even Lord Krishna himself cannot find an end to his own transcendental qualities. Indeed, he himself is always eager to know them. Amazing. And then in Bhagavad Gita 10.12 and 13, after the Lord speaks about all his, his opulences, and Arjuna responds with Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Sashvatam Dityam Adi Devam Ajam Hum. So I'll read the translation. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Ashita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me." So basically, not Arjuna is saying that I have understood, but not only me, it is corroborated by such great personalities as Narada, Ashita, Devala, Vyasa. And you yourself are saying that. And then, of course, at the end of chapter 10, see if I have that, yeah. Text 42, the Lord says, and this is, after having spoken about his opulences, he says, "But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe." So again, there can be really no doubt about the Lord's greatness. At the end of chapter 11 in Bhagavad Gita, the universal form, after seeing the universal form, Arjuna glorifies the Lord in so many beautiful ways. One of the verses, 1138, says, "You are the original, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world, the knower of all and all that is knowable, the supreme refuge, O limitless one." So wonderful adjectives describing and glorifying the Lord for us to remember. So going on in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the personality of Godhead, or the Parameshwara Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. So it's something to think about, right? What does nothing to do mean? We know that the Lord is the cause of all causes. He is the source of creation, the maintainer of all living entities. And the Lord himself has declared in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 that the whole cosmic order is under him. He says, "At my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. Under my will, it is annihilated." Madhakshena prakriti swayate characharam. So the acharyas explain what this means is that the Lord is the supreme director, but he himself is aloof from all these activities. So he has many, many energies, right? He has like the material nature, for example, and many, many demigods. We talk about 33 koti Dev-Devis, so there's 33 crore Dev-Devis that work under him and carry out his will. So he is definitely complete, and self-sufficient in himself. In Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, we studied about Purnam Ada Purnam Idam, that the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and everything that emanates from him is also complete. So he's definitely not like what we see in Greek mythology, where poor Atlas is holding up the earth and looking very tired. So on the contrary, our Lord Krishna has to only will, and his every action gets carried out systematically in his natural and perfect ways. What Prabhupada is saying as well, his natural and perfect ways, very beautifully in the purport. So he's transcendently so full of inconceivable, unlimited potencies that simply by his willing, everything gets done. without any physical or personal endeavor. So in fact, we've heard of the story, you may have heard as well, but worth repeating once, that there was this European philosopher who traveled through India studying the Hindu religion, and he visited various temples, saw many deities, Ganesha, Shiva, everybody. Finally, he came to the conclusion that Krishna is the only God. So when he was asked why, he said that all the other deities have some weapon in their hands or some tool, indicating that they are working. They have to do some service or fight or whatever it is. Only Krishna is doing nothing. He's enjoying with his flute and beautiful Radharani by his side. So who but he can be God? So that's why it is said, right? Akala Ishwar Krishna Parsha Bhritya, which means only and only Krishna is Ishwar, and everyone else, all others are his servants. So going back, that's that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself. He has nothing to accept from anyone, including the great demigods like Brahma. In fact, he is so independent that he, as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, creates his first son, Brahma, from his navel, right, the lotus stem, not with the help of Lakshmi Devi, so Pankajanabhaya, not in the womb of Lakshmi Devi, who was rendering service at his feet eternally. So that is how perfect, complete he is. He has nothing to accept from anyone. And we feel very puffed up about the meager service that we perform for the Lord, or at the temple when we have to perform a service. We feel like, oh, if I don't cook or if I don't do the decoration, it won't get done. But the truth is that if not me, someone else will do it. I mean, the Lord's service will continue on, and it is for our own benefit that we should grab every opportunity that we get to serve. So, and Krishna so kindly accepts our loving service and our devotion. He engages us so benevolently, attracting us to come back to him through all his pastimes, his holy name, his dham. So coming back to Lakshmi Devi, so it says that others ask for the see, where is that? Yeah, others ask for the favor of the goddess of fortune, and despite such prayers, she declines to award such favors. So the whole world is chasing after Lakshmi, right? And the material well-being is actually measured by the yardstick of how wealthy one is. So Diwali is coming up, and in India, houses will be beautifully decorated with lights, flowers. People will dress up in new clothes to pray to Lakshmi Devi. They'll leave their doors open so that Lakshmi Devi can enter into their homes and bring economic development. People will be wishing prosperous new year to each other. But by the mercy of our scriptures, our acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada, he has made it so obvious that this economic development is so temporary and valueless. Material wealth really has no lasting value. So in this respect, a short story, His Holiness Bhaktichara Swami Maharaj has related this story a few times. I've heard it from his lectures. And I believe he had said that he heard it from Prabhupada, but I was not able to find exact reference. So this was Guru Nanak. He had his disciples once took him to the house of a very rich businessman. So in front of the palatial house, there were huge, colorful flags. Okay. So Guru Nanak asked his disciples, what are these flags for? So they told him that this rich businessman, very focused businessman. Every time he makes, I think, 10,000 or 100,000 gold coins, he hoists a colorful flag in front of his house to show off his fortune. So Guru Nanak, while leaving, told the man, "Can I give you something to keep with you for safekeeping? I'll take it back from you later." So the man said, "Sure." Anyway, he had a big house, no lack of real estate. So he surely could store something for this saint. What can a saint give anyway? So Guru Nanak gave him a very tiny packet. Okay. So the man asked, "What is in this?" Guru Nanak said, "You open it and see. You need to know what is that I'm giving you." So the man opened it and he saw a tiny needle, sewing needle. So the man was like, "What do you mean? You want me to keep this needle for safekeeping?" Guru Nanak says, "Yes, if it is not too much for you." The man says, "Okay, I can do it. But when will you take it back?" So to that, Guru Nanak said, "In your next life." Right? In your next life. So the man is, "Are you crazy? How can I take this needle into my next life?" And then he understood that if he can't take this tiny needle into his next life, what is he spending all his time on? Right? Amassing all this huge wealth, which is so temporary. So with that, he changed his perspective on life. So again, coming back, even great demigods cannot obtain the favor of cannot obtain the favor of the goddess of fortune even by prayers. But this very goddess renders service unto the Lord, although he is unwilling to have such service. Now we know from Brahma Samhita that not one Lakshmi, but hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune are serving the Lord. Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevayanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the Lord is served by many hundreds of thousands of goddesses, but he, being the greatest renunciate, he's not attached to the goddess of fortune. The Lakshmi, to whom the demigods, the whole world is praying for her favor, and the Lord's heart is in fact with his devotees. This greatly opulent, inconceivable Lord, served by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis, and who has nothing to do, he doesn't have to do anything himself. He gives himself to us in the form of Archa Vigraha, our deities. He takes the pain to appear in this world again and again for the pleasure of his deities and for protection of his deities. Yada yada hidharmasya. And he in fact told Muchukunda that you cannot even count the number of times I have appeared in this world, my many incarnations. It's like the sand on a beach. And not only that, he appears and he not only appears, but he very kindly accepts our service. He reciprocates abundantly. And I'm sure each one of you have experienced his reciprocation in many, many ways. From the scriptures and from our acharyas, in fact, Guru Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, Holiness Ramapada Swami mentions this, that the Lord likes to serve his devotees, right? This unlimited Lord whom the goddess of fortune is serving, he likes to serve his devotees. And we know some common popular examples are, of course, Arjuna's charioteer in Kurukshetra, where the method for Arjuna to direct the Lord was by kicking him on the shoulder because it's too noisy in the battlefield. So, to tell him which way to go, left or right, he had to kick him on the shoulder. That's the position that the Lord was willing to take for his devotee. Another one is Bali Maharaj. When Vamandev, comes to Bali Maharaj and asks for 3 steps of land, and with 2 steps, he's able to cover everything all the way up to Satyaloka, and doesn't have a place for the 3rd step. Bali Maharaj gave him his head, right? So because of that, he relegated him to Sutala. But the Lord was so touched by Bali Maharaj's devotion that he promised him that, while you're going to Sutala, I'm going to be your doorkeeper. So again, what a menial position, so to say, he takes. He even fulfilled Putana's wishes when, as Ratnamala, he saw Vamandev and desired to first nurse the cute Brahmana boy in her next life, and then to kill him. And even to that killing him, he fulfilled that desire. And then, of course, more recently, Advaita Prabhu, who, having seen that the Kali Kal, everything is becoming so difficult, so terrible, prays with one Tulsi and Gangajal, and the Lord appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most magnificent incarnation, to give Krishna praise to the people of God. So really, we are coming to an end, but it's a no-brainer, right? That we have to engage in devotional service to the Lord and become dear to Him. And just because of our ichcha and dvesha, we have turned away from the Lord. And what did the Lord do? He created this whole samsara to facilitate our purification from contamination. He employed Maya Devi. Maya Devi's full-time job is to make us understand that this material world is a place of misery, dukkhalaya shashvatam. So she's constantly telling us, showing us in many ways, turn towards the Lord, turn towards the most benevolent, compassionate Lord. The Navavida Bhakti process is outlined for us, starting with hearing. It says, just hear, hear attentively, touch Shrunu, because hearing will lead to Smaran, Smaran of the Supreme, beautiful Lord. The time of the death will give us that sure shot to relieve us from this temporary material world. So what excuse do we have, really, right? And it's really a question for me. I mean, in spite of the wonderful association, Guru Maharaj's blessings, the scriptures, all of which is actually facilitated by the Lord. And for someone insignificant like me, even I have experienced the Lord's mercy and reciprocation. So, but what am I doing to please Him? Am I doing enough to go back to Him like He desires? So these introspections, I'll stop here. Actually, one other thing, this I heard from my Guru Maharaj, and this is a thought that I would like to stay with us throughout the day. So Maharaj said, one of his lectures, that the only way to know and understand the unlimited, fully independent Lord is by being fully dependent on Him. So the only way to know and understand unlimited, fully independent Lord is by being fully dependent on Him. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry if I misspoke anything. I said I don't have much depth in philosophy. So I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to glorify the Lord during this month. So if there are any questions or corrections, please.
Thank you so much. Okay. Prabhu, please go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just trying to say, yeah, thank you so much, Mathaji. I think you glorified enough. I mean, of course, nobody can glorify, right? The Lord Himself doesn't know His glories. So who are we to glorify? I mean, His unlimited glories. I mean, you put it as inconceivable and unlimited Lord. So no, I mean, even the Lord says in the, I think when you asked that question, so I think in the third canto or so somewhere, Brahma says, see, Himself doesn't know His glories. I mean, because He's so great, so He knows His glories. I mean, it's not that He doesn't know. Yeah. Immediately, it still expands. Yes. Right? Again, He has to know. That means He doesn't know at that time in His future glories. So
constantly
that great Lord
expanding.
Is,
yes.
That how great He is. And then again, yeah, His greatness is that one. And other thing is so great, but He still accepts as a menial servant to His devotees. I mean, yeah, that connection I liked it much. And at the end, actually, again, He said that, yeah, Maharaj's quote, I mean, understanding the Lord is possible by dependent on Him, right? Independent Lord. So,
yes. The only is by being fully dependent on them.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Cintamani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my
I wanted to be the first one to glorify yours. speaking. Lingaraj Prabhu sees that. And very well thought out, beautifully presented. We look forward to hearing you more and more. Thank you very much.
All your blessing, Mataji.
Hare,
With us. Thank you so
Hare
much.
thank you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I think we are 2 minutes over. So
Unless anybody has any final comments.
we'll go ahead and stop. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhaya patitanam papan Vaishnavebhyo namo Ananta Jai.